Here I am making a Cincinnati Pale Ale from the book How to Brew by John Palmer. And it calls for 3.3 pounds of pale malt extract syrup, 2.5 pounds of amber malt dry extract, which I'm using 3 since that came with the bag, and 6 AAUs of bittering hops. I'll be using Nugget, and 5 AAUs of finishing hops, and I'll be using Cascade and ale yeast. And here in Beersmith I have the recipe loaded in, and I calculated the differences for the different hop percentages from year to year. And here is 3 gallons of water that is cooled to room temperature overnight. And here I'll be adding in 3 pounds of dry malt extract. And I'll be mixing that in while the water is still cold. And I'll be adding the liquid malt extract at the end, 5 minutes before boil out. I'm also adding half a tablet of the Campton tablet in order to dissolve the chloramine in the water. And I'll bring this to a boil. So now that I've achieved a boil and the hop rate has passed, which was small since it was extract, I'm now adding the bittering hops, half an ounce of 12.2 AAU Nugget hops. I'm going to boil these in here for an hour now, and in 30 minutes I'll add more bittering hops to it. So 30 minutes have passed since I had the first hops and it's in boiling, so now I'm going to add a little under half an ounce of Cascade hops. With 30 minutes boiling, this will add some aroma, and now I'll prepare the yeast starter. And here I have a cup of sanitized pre-boiled water heated to 95 degrees. Now I'll add the Nottingham yeast by Danstar and just pour it in, and then cover with plastic wrap for 15 minutes to get a yeast starter going. And then afterwards, after the 15 minutes, I will stir it and then let it sit longer to let the yeast start reproducing, so when I add it to the wort later, it will have better results. And now it's been 45 minutes. I'm going to add the last about half an ounce of Cascade hops for finishing, and then I will wait another 15 minutes for this to finish boiling. Now 5 minutes before I'm adding the rest of the liquid malt extract. If I added 5 minutes later in, I'll have less off flavors from all the malt boiling, and I'll have better head retention. And I'll just let this boil for 5 minutes to pasteurize it, and then I'll be done with the boil. Okay, so this is boiled for 60 minutes, and I'm going to put it in an ice bath I made and let it cool to around 80 to 70 degrees. And cover it so bacteria doesn't get in it while it cools. And I'll monitor this and occasionally stir it. Okay, so I have my water here, that's about 72. And my wort, which is about 73. And the yeast is about 73 also. So now I will pour the wort solution in the 3 gallons of water to bring me up to 5. And I'll need the hops and hop rake with the funnel so they don't end up in the resulting beer. The hops are making it hard to funnel. Mix up the wort with the water. And then I'm going to dump it in this bucket to aerate it so the yeast has ample oxygen to grow. And by pouring this back and forth, it aerates the wort, which will allow for the yeast to reproduce more easily. So I'm going to pour this back in. About 40 pounds of beer. got some hop residue left over. And now I'm going to take my yeast, pitch this in here. Get all of it in there. Now I'll put the lid on the fermenter. And shake it around a bit. Let the yeast distributes itself well. And this also aerates the wort more for the yeast to grow. And now I will move it to a temperature secure location. So here I have an airlock with sanitizer in it in case it goes in the beer. I'm going to put this in the fermenter. Pushing down, which I shouldn't be. And hopefully that all came out on my hand and not in the beer. And this is 70-degree area, and I'll leave this for 2 weeks.